trying to have a love life in your parents' house. It's not happening.
Try a little harder. Like sometime without me there.
Maybe you go back, I stay here.
At this point, James is gonna have to carry out Tata kicking and screaming because this girl just cannot get a clue. I mean, their money problems have them hanging by a thread, and leaving may be their only saving grace. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss 90 Day Fiance the other way, specifically Tata and James. It's been a minute since we've checked in on this chaotic couple. The last episode, I didn't cover them because they were just crying over their dog. Basically, James told Tata that they weren't going to be able to get the dog there because once he enters Indonesia, they're not going to be able to take him back to the US. And currently, their foundation in Indonesia is pretty shaky. They don't have money. They don't have a job. Their savings is depleted. They live with her parents. It's just not the best idea to bring the dog into this dynamic when they don't even know if they're going to stay. Of course, though, Tata wants to stay, and she's not fully grasping that they aren't making money. So she's like, well, can we go visit him? He's my only child, and you don't want to give me babies. Can we visit him? And James is like, no. We literally don't have money. It's just an ongoing fight of, are you going to give her babies? Are you going to get a job? That's where we are. So we're going to jump straight in. Before we do, as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. They've been in Indonesia for 6 weeks officially. Well, James has. And it's coming with some growing pains. So they are living with Tata's parents and they are loving and doting. But according to James, they are a bit invasive. Apparently in this house, you really don't have privacy. Everyone's in your business. And that doesn't surprise me because I feel like if I lived with my mom, it would probably be the same way. What I think is coming up for James is that there's a dynamic of he's not the man of the house. Rightfully so. This is not his home. But there seems to be a bit of tug of war for power between him and her dad, which is hard for me to picture because her dad seems like such a soft-spoken man. But they give so much and they also expect a lot. And James alludes to the fact that they haven't really been intimate because of this, because they have no privacy. My theory is that they haven't been intimate because he's afraid he's going to get Tata, because he's afraid he's going to get her pregnant. So he's a little on edge, and it does not help that they apparently mentioned the thought of a wedding in Indonesia, and her parents ran with it. Immediately when I heard second wedding, I was like, why would you do that? You have no money. You have no future, no prospects. Your savings is dwindling. Is this the right time to spend the little that you have on a wedding when you were married 3 years ago? I, of course, understand the significance of Tata having a wedding in Indonesia with her family because they got married during COVID, and it was a very lonely experience. Totally understand that. It's not like they need to get married right now. They've waited 3 years. Why not wait a little longer until you're a bit more stable? So it's not a matter of not having it. It's a matter of finding the right time. There have been now a few scenarios that we've seen where she just thinks that money is going to appear. But just as a woman, I'm looking at Tata and I'm like, your health is uncertain. You have no money. You're with a man that has broken every promise that he has ever made you, including the fact that he's telling you he may never want kids. Is this the right time to renew said vows? Because if I were in her position, I would need to reevaluate my vows. But they're going full throttle with this plan. Okay. And we see them go to this place to try on traditional outfits for the wedding. Which of course is not going to be cheap because it's fancy. It's what royalty used to wear. James hates it, but he's trying to put on a brave face, trying to be silly. Tata looks like a Disney princess like she always does. So while he's trying to keep good spirits, James is feeling away all around and they get to talking and he's just like, fine. I know that I promised you a wedding, but your family keeps adding things that we should do, like more food, more guests, entertainment. But I have to pay for it. Yeah, that's right. The couple that has no money is trying to pay for a huge wedding in Indonesia. And according to James, this is big even for Indonesian standards. So there has been some underlying tension on James's behalf, but the wedding talk has really made him and her dad clash because there is like a tug of war for power and tug of war of like, well, this is special and this is our daughter and like we want her to have everything, but it's on James's tab. So James is upset at their dynamic, and Tata is like, well, he's probably clashing with you because he's disappointed that we don't help. Because you know, every kid that moves back helps with the plantain chips. And like I know every culture has like their own like unspoken rules. And I feel like if you're gonna marry an Indonesian, like you should accept certain things. But I don't think it's right to guilt trip to this degree, especially if you guys are all living together. On the other side of that coin, James, you are living in this home for free. Show some gratitude. You don't have to help 7 days of the week, but set a boundary and say, actually, I'm going to make myself completely available to you 3 days out of the week. Because his thing is, well, helping with the plantain chips isn't going to make us money. Totally. But you don't have a job. You don't have anything that's keeping you to be away. So I would imagine that you're just at the house doing nothing when you could be contributing. And so the thing with James is that he always has an excuse. So he's like, "Oh, well, you know, like it doesn't make sense for me to help because I don't know the language." That was like, cut it out. She was like, "When I went to America, I learned the language. I figured it out." James is like, "Well, I didn't just leave you to fend for yourself." And that's true. He did have already a foundation set for them, but one could argue that Tata also has a foundation set for them. They have a roof over their head, they're fed. It may not be ideal, but they do have something. And Tata's like, you need to do more. Like, you need to show more initiative. You need to actually learn the language. Like, you can try much harder, and that way you can bond with my family. Like, there's a disconnect, and you just need to try harder. And she's just crying because she's just like so frustrated with him. And I understand her frustration. I just feel like, first of all, the girl needs extra electrolytes because she is just crying at all times. It's exhausting. Also, I just feel like they can never have a conversation without her like pulling out the waterworks and like it just feels manipulative. I don't know if she's trying to do this on purpose, but it just feels like that. Like she needs to drive every point home with like drama. And in this scene, I was like, are you faking it? Because she was like in the middle of a tantrum and then like the seller comes with a dress and she's like, and it was just like, I'm sorry, were you not in the middle of a breakdown?
Sih Mbak, ini baju keduanya. Mbaknya nggak apa-apa? Oke?
And so she comes back to look at James, and James is like, listen, I don't think that you get how money works. And I also don't think that you understand that you may be comfortable here with your family, but everyone's looking down on me because I'm the one that's supposed to provide. And I'm in a position where I can't. And it's true the way that gender norms work, like he has to provide. And he's not providing in more ways than one, but I think it's like extra visible because he's under her parents' roof, you know? But just overall, I feel like she has no urgency with money. And he's like, I'm the one that's seeing our account dwindle by the minute. So, like, I'm always the one that's having to bring you down to earth. And that is so exhausting to have to do all that labor. And it's just so obvious that they didn't explicitly talk this out before just going to Indonesia. So while it's supposed to be such like a fun time of them picking out their outfits, there's just so much dread around them because honestly, they should not be planning this wedding. But the next time we see them, they're like in the room and she's making jewelry and he's packing it up because he hopes that this could be their moneymaker. However, no business is taking their jewelry because it'll take away from their own designs. Tata is pissed at him still, so she's giving him the cold shoulder, but he's trying to talk and like get her to understand They literally have no money and they can't depend on her parents forever. So he's like, listen, we're getting to the point where like we're getting to red and the only solution is to go back to America. You know, where he had, well, I don't know if he'll have it again, but he had that really good high paying job. They had a really nice house. They had a nice car. They made it happen. And here, their wings are clipped. And she's like, I don't want to go to America. Like, I'm going to miss my family. Like, I hate being far from them. And then she, again, brings out the tears and is like, and my health, I just couldn't get answers for my health over there. And that's when I'm like, Tata, you are so manipulative. You have thyroid issues. There are a million thyroid doctors in America. I have thyroid issues. I take a medicine every day of my life. The fact that she went to Indonesia and drank some herbs and all of a sudden was better, and then the minute the talk of America comes up, she's like, but I'm ill. Like, come on. And so James is like, we could see other doctors, okay? We have no money. We need to go. And she's like, I'm going to stay. You can go. And James is like, we were supposed to do this together. Like, so I'm just starting to see that, like, this kind of behavior from Tata has been enabled by her family because she's acting a bit bratty. But then I also am like, is she just acting out because of that their last talk about kids went so badly? Like, is she just ready to give up on him because of that? Because if that's the case, she should outwardly say it. But instead, there's like this passive aggressiveness. They're really just terrible at communicating. And they're like about to be 3 to 4 years into this marriage. And I think the most awkward part of this is that when you're around family, like you can't really argue with your person. So it must be so uncomfortable to like bicker a little bit and then lower your voice, or like have to like shelf an argument until you're alone in the house. Yeah, they're not getting anything done. They're not getting any talking done. They're not getting any love making done. They're not getting any money making done. Nothing. But what is obvious is that Tata is like resentful of James. She's like, I don't think that he's aspiring to be the best son-in-law. She's like, this is BS that he wants to quit after 6 weeks when I had to be in America for 3 years. We all make compromises, and I understand where she's coming from because, again, she made the promise that she would move to America for him, but then he made the promise to deliver his part. Learn the language, take care of her, have babies. So I guess she's at the place where she's like, you don't want to keep your promises? Neither will I. Is that the way that you should conduct your marriage? Probably not. But that's where she's at. So we will be keeping up with them. You guys, let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.